Good evening, you're watching India First. I'm Gaurav Sawant. We begin this special broadcast with the image of the Imam of the Naugam Mosque in Kashmir. And you will ask me, why is this image of the Imam of the Naugam Mosque so important? Because the Imam of the Naugam Mosque is the man who is suspected to have systematically indoctrinated not one, not two, but half a dozen doctors from the government medical college in Srinagar. So this Imam of Naugam systematically indoctrinated Dr. Adil, Dr. Muzammil, Dr. Umar Muhammad, the suspected suicide bomber, Dr. Syed Ahmad, and one of the arrested doctors, Dr. Muzammil, apparently influenced the brother-sister duo from Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Shaheen Shaida and Dr. Parvez Ansari. And during the course of this broadcast, I'll show you images of all the accused and suspects. The man you see on your television screen, the image that you see, this is Maulvi Irfan Ahmad. This Maulvi Irfan Ahmad is the cleric from Shopian. Maulvi Irfan Ahmad was actually a paramedical staff at the government medical college in Srinagar. And he would interact with young, influential, young doctors, and he would start influencing them. He would start playing his mind games with them every day. He stands accused of systematically indoctrinating them and turning them to his cause, the cause of terror. And over the course of the next 1 hour, we decode this systematic brainwashing of the young professional doctors. In the past, there have been instances of engineers, IT professionals, because you would think when we were attacked in Mumbai in 2008, 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, so you would think that, okay, an Ajmal Amir Kasab, that Pakistani terrorist of Lashkar-e-Taiba, he was illiterate. He probably didn't know better. But what about these doctors? Each and every one of this doctor, look, this lady doctor, for example, Dr. Shaheen Shahid, she's not only MBBS, she's also MS, she's done a master's degree in medicine. So she has application of mind, of her brain, and yet she was influenced according to the police. So Dr. Adil, arrested from Saharanpur, a resident of Vanpura in Kulgam, or Dr. Muzammil, arrested from Faridabad, and weapons were found, assault rifles were found, 2,900 kilograms of ammonium nitrate was found at the behest of these doctors, employees of Al-Falah Hospital. Now, Al-Falah Hospital in Faridabad is also under this scanner. Or Dr. Umar Muhammad, or Dr. Shaheen Shaida from Lucknow. One would question, or Dr. Parvez Ansari, who's believed to be absconding even now, or Dr. Syed Ahmad, who's been picked up for questioning, why would educated doctors become so radicalized that they would want to bleed their own country unless they thought India is not their country, unless they were more convinced about the cause of an hostile neighbor of India. It's all a matter of investigation. We get to those details. What was their target? Was Jaish-e-Mohammed trying to target Red Fort like it has tried in the past? Was it the Gauri Shankar temple? Was it the Jain temple? Or, as some in the police believe, was it an accidental blast? The explosives were in transit and it exploded. We'll explore. I'm Gaurav Sawant. As always, let's get started with the headlines on India First. CCTV footage of the I-20 car surfaces. The suspect, Dr. Umar Muhammad, seen inside the I-20 wearing a black mask. The car entered Delhi from the Badarpur toll plaza at 8:13 a.m. yesterday. Delhi blast accused Umar has a checkered past. The doctor was thrown out of hospital after the death of a patient in 2023. Police on the hunt for other doctors. The heat mounts. The jihadi lady doctor of terror, Shaheen Shahida, involved in the Faridabad terror module, has been arrested. Sources say jihadi doctor was tasked to establish Jaish-e-Mohammed's women wing. And Bihar appears to have replicated its historic voter turnout even in the second phase. More than 68.6% voter turnout recorded in the second phase in Bihar. Terror hits home in Pakistan. A suicide attack near the Islamabad court leaves at least 12 dead, more than 20 injured in Pakistan. This special broadcast, I get you details of the Imam of Terror. That is what the police believe this man Maulvi Irfan Ahmad was. He's a cleric from Shopian. He's accused of radicalizing the doctors at GMC Srinagar. He himself is a paramedical staff. A joint team of Jammu and Kashmir Police, intelligence agencies, Srinagar Police, they've arrested Irfan Ahmad Wage, the Imam of the mosque in Naugam, Shopian. Investigators believe the Imam of the Naugam mosque played a critical role in radicalizing the doctors of the Government Medical College in Srinagar, and he is linked to the Faridabad explosives case directly. During the raid, even his home was raided and officers have seized at least 5 different mobile phone handsets. His wife has also now been taken into custody for questioning. Irfan's arrest marks a very significant breakthrough in the investigation into the explosive material case. Explosives, 2,900 kilograms of ammonium nitrate, timers, devices, pencils, assault rifles, live ammunition that was recovered in Faridabad. And this actually adds another layer to the rapidly expanding white-collar terror network that's currently under scrutiny. The man you see on your television screen, the Imam of the Naugam Mosque, stands accused of indoctrinating Dr. Adil, Dr. Muzammil, Dr. Umar, Dr. Shaheen, Dr. Parvez Ansari, who's currently absconding, and several others. I want to bring in India Today's Ashraf Vani for more on this big story. Ashraf joins us with the latest in investigations from Kashmir. Ashraf, what more do we know of Maulvi Irfan Ahmad and his alleged role? Because apparently this is only the tip of the iceberg. 5 doctors, apparently it's a much longer list.
Gaurav, actually, the Maulvi Irfan, who is the Imam of a local mosque in Srinagar but hails from the Nandigam, which is a village in the Shopian district of South Kashmir, he was arrested in the 3rd week of October. In fact, it was the first arrest after the pasting of some posters in the Anantnag, where after that CCTV footage, a boy was detained by the Jammu and Kashmir police, who gave the name of this Imam who handed over him the posters. The Imam was then arrested and he was interrogated on his tip-off. Dr. Adil first was arrested from Saharanpur, and then on the Dr. Adil's identification, assault rifle, some ammunition was recovered from the locker of Government Medical College here in Anantnag. And these links were joined by the security agencies, particularly by the intelligence agencies, which led the arrest of another doctor in the Faridabad. And in the Faridabad, then the recovery of 9,500 kg of ammonium nitrate was made. And in fact, now once again, the CIK, the Intelligence Bureau of the Jammu and Kashmir Police, today raided his residence. His wife was detained also because the police believes that there is some role of his wife in recruiting the woman force in the Jaish-e-Mohammed, and also some phones were also recovered from their residence in Shopian. The police is believing that probably this local Imam from the Shopian, who has also worked in the GMC Srinagar, Government Medical College Srinagar, was main person who has radicalized these doctors of South Kashmir, first in the government medical college in Srinagar, then in other areas. Then those doctors in a unity clubbed with one another and made this module, which is yet to be busted, because we have seen that there was a blast at Red Fort yesterday. One doctor is believed was made a suicide blast there. It is not yet clear whether he has been killed in that blast or not. But there are many more doctors and other professionals which may be involved with this module, which is separately and as it is called as white-collar terrorism in the country.
That's a very, very pertinent point you're making, and you stay with me, Ashraf. That's a very pertinent point you're making. It's only a part of the module that's been busted with these arrests. There are several who are absconding, and there are several others. Munish Pandey now joins me from Red Fort, where the blast took place. There are several others who could still be out there. Munish, that is why there is clear and present danger. So 2,900 kilograms of ammonium nitrate was recovered. Some assault rifles, some live ammunition, some devices, some timers recovered. But the agencies, do they know the entire amount and the entire module, and how many others did this imam indoctrinate?
Well, Gaurav, this is a very important question, and that is why not only the police of 3 states, which is Jammu and Kashmir Police, the Haryana Police, and the Delhi Police, NIA is also trying to unfold what exactly has happened so far, and also how this entire module was operating. It is believed that the Jammu and Kashmir Police was able to bust the module, but unfortunately it looks like there are other active members of this module who are still hiding, who are still absconding, and that is why it becomes very critical after the blast which was carried out by Dr. Umar Mohammed, that all those active members are not only arrested but brought to justice. That is why, Gaurav, what was important today was the questioning by the Faridabad police. There were 3 accomplices of Dr. Umar Mohammed who were questioned by the Faridabad police. At the same time, Jammu and Kashmir police also questioned at least 3 to 4 individuals who are linked to Dr. Umar Mohammed, and it is believed that there are many such individuals, Gaurav, that who might be, part of this entire network. So the prime job
gentlemen,
of NIA
stay with me. Gentlemen, stay with me. I want to throw this open for a wider discussion, because there is clear and present danger, not just to Delhi, but to several other cities across our country. A doctor takes an oath to heal, but these doctors stand accused of plotting to kill. Imagine the scale of their planning to target India. If 2,900 kilograms of ammonium nitrate was recovered, along with timers and batteries and assault rifles and live ammunition, police suspect that their plan was actually a multi-state simultaneous operation to burn India, apparently as revenge for the killing of the family of that Maulana of terror, Masood Azhar, in Pakistan during Operation Sindoor. There are multiple questions, including, is there corroborative evidence? What was their intention, the reason for their indoctrination, and whether this was by design, or as some in the investigating agencies suspect, perhaps Dr. Muhammad Umar, he panicked. He was transporting these explosives or the IED from point A to point B, stayed near the Sunehri Masjid for several hours, and while the vehicle was in transit, there was an explosion. Joining me on this India First special broadcast is Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain. General Hasnain commanded the Kashmir Corps and he knows the minds of the people. Dr. Tara Kartha is former director at the National Security Council Secretariat. Yashovardhan Azad is former special director of India's Intelligence Bureau. Shishpal Vaid, SP Vaid is former director general of Jammu and Kashmir Police. And Zeenat Shaukat Ali is the founder, director general of an organization that strives for peace and harmony. I want to bring in General Hasnain. General Hasnain, your reading of this entire episode and the arrest of so many doctors, Dr. Adil, Dr. Muzammil, Dr. Umar Mohammed apparently killed, Dr. Shaida Shaheen, Dr. Parvez Ansari absconding, Dr. Sajjad Ahmad taken into custody.
Thank you, Gaurav. Let me start by firstly expressing my deep regret for the loss of Indian lives. And that's something we always regret whenever an incident of this kind takes place. Having said that, I've been following your complete assessment and that of Ashraf Wani from Kashmir. I'm completely with you. What you must remember in this, Gaurav, is that you are really seeing the tip of the iceberg. Because this kind of a thing is essentially linked to overground worker networks in Jammu and Kashmir. That's where you may have killed 4,000 terrorists, as we are saying, but you have not been able to eliminate those networks. It's very, very difficult neutralizing them, and from time to time they keep resurfacing. Now, these elements that you are looking at today at the moment are all an extension of those networks into the rest of India. And we are very fortunate that our intelligence agencies, the Jammu and Kashmir police, along with the other two states, have been able to get to the bottom of this right in the beginning. Last 15 days, they have been working on this and they've been able to neutralize this module to a very large extent. I'm sure as time goes along, we'll be able to do it completely. But I think a lot of accusations and allegations are being made about an intelligence failure and things like that. Let me tell people who are alleging that no 1% case where you fail, you will invariably have an incident of this kind. But remember that 99% of the cases we have succeeded always. India has been kept safe for the last 15 years from these kind of incidents. All our urban areas, all our metropolises have been safe, except maybe in Jammu and Kashmir, where a proxy war was on all these days. So I have no doubt about the professionalism of India's intelligence agencies and police forces, and they will deliver as we come along.
Okay, let me, since you raised the point of intelligence, alleged intelligence failure by some, let me bring in Yashovardhan Azad, former Special Director of in the Intelligence Bureau. Mr. Azad, when you look at this entire operation, the arrests, the recoveries, the chaps who are still absconding, and this the alleged suicide attack, do you look at it as a success of our intelligence agencies and investigating agencies and police in preventing a major disaster, or do you look at it as failure as some do?
No, certainly. I mean, every time a terrorist act takes place, to blame the intelligence agencies and to blame the security forces is certainly not wise. Imagine the kind of mass killing or disaster which has been prevented. You look at that module was absolutely ripe with 2,900 kgs of explosives.
God.
You remember in Oklahoma, there were only 2 tons of explosives, and what a loss it created. And imagine if this could have been activated, then what would have happened?
So imagine that for us. Mr. Azad, you've raised a very pertinent point. I want you to elaborate on this. 2,900 kilograms of ammonium nitrate fuel oil. What could this have done, sir?
I mean, the idea was definitely to create terror in the minds of people. You remember the kind of blasts which were taking place in Delhi. Delhi was safe for 15 years. Remember the kind of blasts which were taking place in Sarojini Nagar, Lajpat Nagar, and all those areas. And
I've covered all of those. I've covered all of those on ground.
That's why I'm telling you. And so you can imagine with this, the recce which was done of RSS headquarters, the places which were seen. Suppose this car, which was supposed to, I don't know whether it was supposed to detonate there, or it may have, rammed into any building. Remember, it was a JM car which attacked the J&K building in October 1, 2001. So
J&K
if you
Assembly
look at all this and the
right,
mass devastation which we have escaped, we should thank. Of course, in this particular case, the intelligence agencies and the security agencies are still finding out whether it was only one person in that car or 3. If there's only one, then obviously it was a suicide attack or whatever you can call it. If there were 3 people, then it happened by accident. But nevertheless, if you look at the damage, the purpose is done. The aim is successful, killing 13 people and 26 injured. So I would say it's a sensational act, but the investigative agencies are absolutely on the right track. And I'm sure there'll be more and more linkages coming out. As you said, the story is not over. So far, we have 3 states. How many he has been able to radicalize is something we really need to know. And remember one thing, radicalization of the educated has not started now. The ISIS was attempting it through the internet long time back. And you remember the educated people from Kerala who had gone to the
Yes,
ISIS
to
battleground.
Afghanistan.
And many of them
Absolutely.
ran back. Many of them ran back. Some got killed. And with that, we got to know during the interrogation as to how the educated were being trapped. In the
Before I
9
bring in Dr. Tara Kartha and Zeenat Shaukat Ali, I want to quickly bring in Mr. Vaid as former Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police. These are not illiterate young Muslim boys who can be indoctrinated. They're educated doctors. They're actually the cream of the Kashmiri society. If they're making it to GMC Srinagar, if they're making it to top medical colleges, if they're becoming doctors, it would mean that they have their mental faculties. And yet, if a paramedic can indoctrinate them, sir, it is very, very alarming. They study from the taxpayers' money. It is your money and mine that pays for their education, and then they ultimately come and kill us.
Good evening, Gaurav. Good evening to all my co-panelists and your viewers. See, Gaurav, all of us who have worked in Kashmir Valley know the ultimate dream of Kashmiri young boys and girls is to become doctor. And having become doctors, having secured job, uh, getting radicalized this way, it's not normal madrasa educated young boys. They are
Yes.
highly educated, scientific mind, rational mind. And after that, if you can radicalize them to the extent of killing their own countrymen, working against the country, and even to the extent of becoming a suicide bomber, what you saw yesterday, what Umar Muhammad did. So you can imagine the kind of radicalization that has taken place. We all know South Kashmir has been the hotbed of radicalization, whether it is Shopian, Pulwama, Kulgam, Anantnag, and all this is tracing back to that area. In fact, when I was police chief, South Kashmir was the biggest headache post
Yes.
Burhan Wani,
Yes,
and
I remember.
we only know how we brought
2016.
that
Yes.
situation back to normals. So, see, the worrying part is it has linkages from across the border, which investigators will very soon find. It is not a simple, isolated module. Let me tell you, it's a very deep rooted, well planned, and well rehearsed doctor module, terror module. I don't know how many such modules are there in other parts of the country.
Absolutely. That's the
That
threat. That's the big threat, Dr. Tara Kartha. How many other such modules still exist? How many doctors who are actually treating us by day are plotting to kill us by night? Like that doctor in Hyderabad who's been arrested for making that ricin chemical for that toxin, for that attack on us. I mean, these are guys are doctors, best education that money can offer in India. They have it, they have jobs, and yet they're plotting to kill us.
Yes, and this is when most of us in various parts of the state, you pay crores to get a medical seat, and then you do something like this. But I would agree with what the earlier speaker was saying. This kind of people are not new. I mean, it is still very dismaying. And this module, by the way, I think it's going to go much further than what we've seen as of now. I'm so glad. What I really, really appreciate in this operation is that all the agencies are working together. It's been across the board, people from Delhi, Jammu, everywhere, everyone is working together. That's how we've been seeing this. But I just want to take you back to this. There was this, in March 25, there was this whole Pakistani gang arrested in Spain and Italy involved in indoctrination, a woman involved in getting other women, into this kind of a journey, all of them educated. This is not something new for Pakistan. You had that earlier. I mean, that was blinding. And a couple in San Francisco,
Yes.
extremely highly educated, from an extremely good family, who went and shot 14 people. That lady had a baby. So this is, this kind of, for us, we tend to think that the religious zealots are, wild-eyed and, sort of from poor backgrounds. I don't actually see that across either in Al-Qaeda or in Islamic State. It is not the poor and hungry who are doing this. They are too, bogged down in their own troubles. It is the middle class who is getting into this ring. But this ring...
My worry is, ma'am, you're absolutely right. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, my worry is that these are people who are amongst us. They could be treating you and I, they could be treating your child and mine, your parents and mine, and they could be secretly plotting to kill them, like that doctor from Hyderabad who was putting together chemicals to put that the ricin toxin. This is very, very worrisome. How do these elements get indoctrinated despite having the best that the Indian society can offer?
Thank you, Gaurav, for inviting me to this program. The first thing I would like to say that I totally condemn this act of barbarism and denounce people of this kind who take the name of Jaish-e-Mohammed, that is related to Muhammad, who taught you peace, may peace be upon him, and you use the name of religion to destroy and to kill people. I think they are highly condemnable, and I think that as a Muslim, I would like to say that they should be put out of the pale of Islam, because I will quote to you verses and I will quote to you the Prophet's traditions that say this. But before I get into that, I would like to say that, this entire, shocking, thing orchestrated by educated, arming, financing, perpetrating, radicalizing. Imagine radicalizing people, doctors who are supposed to be life saviors. Doctor, you go to a doctor when you're sick and you want to get cured. Do doctors do this kind of thing? It's a shame. And I completely agree with the Prime Minister, and I'm glad that he has said this, that they have to be brought to books immediately, and the perpetrators, after due investigations, must be given the highest, strongest kind of punishment or being hung in public. And these kind of academics, who have chosen this sinister path to terrorism, have to be caught. And I think it is time, I have a few suggestions, Gaurav. I hope I'm not overstepping my time. But I would just like to say that, we have to become much more proactive, because everything is becoming extremely unsafe.
My bigger question, ma'am, you're absolutely right. What were other doctors at the Al-Falah, organization in Faridabad doing, for example? Would they not have known what's happening in their midst, General Hasnain and Mr. Vaid and, Mr. Yashovardhan Azad? You've dealt with these things all your lives, all your careers, and I want to understand from you. Could they have operated in a cocoon? Would their neighbors not have known? Would others not have known what they are up to? Or is there an enabling ecosystem? Bharat mein khao aur Bharat ki thali mein chhed kar do. Is this what these elements are doing in our midst? Because that would be very worrisome. Again, subject to due process of law. In India, fortunately, we don't hang people in public, madam, but, Ms. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, but I would want due process of law to be followed and strictest possible action if that deters General Hasnain. One, how many more would people have known the kind of dangers that we still face, General Hasnain?
See, Gaurav, I'm sure Vaid sir will bear me out completely. The business of overground workers in Jammu and Kashmir is far more serious than what we allude to normally. The networks are huge, and mostly we get satisfied with the elimination of a large number of hardcore terrorists. Hardcore terrorists are a menace, no doubt. They are a major threat to us. But it is the overground worker networks which are far greater to my mind, because they are the ones who spread this into society. And as to your question, whether people know about their existence or not, very much. Many times it happens that these networks are so large, anyone in society generally knows about them. The whole concept of hideouts in Jammu and Kashmir, for example. Could a hideout in a house be created without the neighborhood coming to know about it? That's a very, very usual thing. The other worrisome thing, Gaurav, is the fact that we have had about 5 suicide bombings in Kashmir in the last 36 years. Not more. Only about 4, 5. 5 of them, in fact. Now, suddenly to think of such a huge quantum of explosive, and that too in Delhi, being transported from one place to the other, if there were 3 such bombers inside this car, probably their whole intention would have been to look for 3 places where to place IEDs or perhaps to even blast cars. So this culture is a very, very dangerous thing. It's not happened in India too often. It's happened in Pakistan, Afghanistan. It's happened in Iraq to a great extent. India mercifully has been free of this. And this is something we need to take stock of and go after these overground worker networks in a greater way.
So I completely agree with you. Mr. Vaid, how difficult is it to go after overground workers, especially in Kashmir? I would imagine in rest of the country, it would be relatively easier. I at least hope and pray so, that intelligence agencies and police are able to go after them. And based on evidence that the police are able to gather, there would be time-bound action and, prosecution and punishment on the basis of evidence through courts of law, sir. Mr. Vaid, how difficult is it in J&K?
Gaurav, when a society gets radicalized and all its wings get affected, it is the family, it is the schools, the general atmosphere where these young boys pick up radical elements, and it's a very, very serious threat. And I agree with General Hasnain. Lot needs to be done to check radicalization, not only in Kashmir Valley. It is a challenge for all of us in other parts of the country today, whether it is Kerala, whether it is West Bengal, and many other parts of the country. I don't want to name all of them. And today, you're seeing what's happening in the whole Europe and America, where also some of these countries have taken huge steps to counter radicalization. I think we have yet to take many steps to.
Oh, absolutely. The time of being polite and politically correct, evidence-based prosecution, Mr. Azad, isn't that the need of the hour? Before I bring in Dr. Tara Kartha, I want to understand from you, rest of the country, evidence-based prosecution should be relatively easier, or do you fear that there would be an enabling ecosystem that will come and they will say, when somebody chants Bharat Tere Tukde Honge in universities, that's freedom of expression. Do we need stricter action against those who say Bharat Tere Tukde Honge? That's not freedom of expression, because courts also must realize today they're saying it, tomorrow they'll do it. Sir, I think you're on mute, sir.
No, I'm not on mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go on, sir. Loud and clear, strength 5. Go on, sir.
Yeah. You see, the problem in the whole country is the judicial backlog and a very poor prosecution. There's no doubt about it. In fact, the prosecution should also be there when the filing of the charge sheet is done, whether the case is actually made out or not. And if a case is made out, to piece together the evidence in such a manner that, immediately the case can be properly prosecuted. In fact, the Supreme Court has come down on the lower courts and said, why are the charge sheets not being framed, and they should be done in a particular time. De-radicalization is a challenge which we need to do. I agree with Vaid when he says that it is something not only in this country, but throughout the world. And therefore, this is one thing which the intelligence agencies, the security agencies, the society as a whole have to get into. And the last point which I wanted to tell you was that the question which you said, didn't the neighbors know what they were doing? You're right. Many of the neighbors know, but they keep quiet. They wish it away, or they don't want to get into any kind of trouble. These are the kind of people we have to motivate to come out in the interests of the country, because these doctors are not a blot on their uniform. They are also traitors to the country.
Absolutely. And they're just being so unfair. They're being so unfair to the medical fraternity. Because I trust doctors with my eyes shut. They are healers. Doctors are second only to God. But these are elements who are devils incarnate, should they actually have done what they stand accused of. And I want to bring in Dr. Tara Kartha. And Dr. Tara Kartha, I'm on the point of those who are an enabling ecosystem. Arey bacche hain, कह दिया यूनिवर्सिटी में भारत तेरे टुकड़े होंगे तो क्या हुआ? I want to talk about those who say cut India off at Assam. We will cut them off at Assam. We'll cut off India's northeast, and that's seen as freedom of expression. Are those the elements? Today they are saying it, tomorrow they will do it, like these doctors who are alleged to have done, madam.
I'm 100% in agreement with you. This kind of talk can't be tolerated. And unfortunately, I have seen this firsthand. In a certain state, in a certain areas where the local police know about it, they can't go there. There are areas in this country which are actually no go. And I think it's time we took those on, head on, sort them out as of now. Enough is enough. But there is one thing I want to caution on regarding Kashmir. I respect General Hasnain completely. What Pakistan wants you to do is to launch a huge sort of drive in Kashmir. You've got normalcy, quote unquote, normalcy back. When you take action against OGWs, it has to be a very, very careful exercise. That is a cautionary tale. But in the other areas, Gaurav, I am with you. We can't tolerate this kind of thing in our universities. It is simply not on. And those areas which the government knows about, I don't want to talk about it here. You need to take action there, because those are kind of, they are like festering wounds in this country's body.
How do you de-radicalize? I want to bring in, ma'am, you've raised a very pertinent point. How do you de-radicalize such elements? Because when you talk about a doctor, let's just talk about Dr. Adil, for example, or Dr. Muzammil, or Dr. Umar Muhammad. Why would you think that guys who made it in life, they're already MBBS doctors, they're studying to do their MS, they've achieved everything that you may want to achieve. You should only aspire to go higher. How do you de-radicalize these elements who seem to be wanting to go down? ये तो मतलब जन्नत की तरफ जा रहे, दोज़ख की आग में जल रहे, madam.
You're asking me?
I'm asking Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, madam.
Sorry. You see, Gaurav, what my simple point to de-radicalize is, a suggestion that I have, that every imam of the Muslims, when they're giving, excuse me, a sermon on a Friday, had to bring to light the certain verses that I'm going to quote, where murder is considered to be outside
Ma'am,
the
catch
pale
your
of
breath,
Islam.
but it's the imam that's sadly indoctrinating them here. If you want to go to a mosque for light, it is the imam Maulvi Irfan Ahmad who's accused of pushing them towards darkness. How do you sort that out?
That is absolutely correct. What I'm simply saying is that all the imams have to get together and on every Friday give a sermon on the verses of the Quran which are saying that you cannot be a Muslim or called a Muslim if you are radicalized and start killing people, because murder, and I'm reading you the verses of the Quran, there is the verse of Surah 5 number 32, where you if you kill one innocent human being, it is as if you have killed
You're
all
killing the entire
mankind.
humanity. Absolutely.
Destruction of humanity. Then there is verse number 17, and 33, and 6 and 157, which talk, no, take a life that God has made sacred. I'm reading to you a direct verse of the Quran. Prohibition of aggression is contributed to your own destruction. You're destroying
Ma'am, catch your breath. Let me bring in Dr. Tara Kartha as you catch your breath for a moment. Dr. Tara Kartha, you seem to disagree on the point that they can be de-radicalized just by getting the right sermons from their imams.
No, I just wanted to quickly say, ironically, Pakistan's Punjab, they've extended section 146, and they've said no Friday prayers. They've shut it down. Can you do that here? You can't. So there is when you want to do something and you decide this area is not on, you shut down these people who are talking this kind of thing. What she said is very right. This is not what Islam preaches.
Yes. Yes, because from what my sources are telling, and now it's breaking on India Today, the Red Fort terror attack was not a suicide attack, not a planned suicide attack. And this is what sources have been telling me all along. Big story now being confirmed by top officials in India's intelligence agencies. Inside scoop on the Red Fort blast here on India Today. This was not a suicide attack. It was in panic that Dr. Muhammad Umar triggered the explosives that he was carrying in that I-20 vehicle. That is what sources are telling India Today, because the vehicle was in transit. Remember, there hasn't been an instance in the past where a vehicle was in transit, slowly moving from one direction to the other, stopped at a red light, and suddenly there was a blast. In the past, every time there's been a VBIED or a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, it was by design, by intention. For example, Pulwama in 2019, RDX and explosives were packed in that car, and that car went and banged into the CRPF convoy, killing 40 personnel. Or I want to take you back to the first VBIED attack that took place at the main gate of the Badami Bagh cantonment in Srinagar, when the first suicide bombing in Kashmir had taken place after the Kargil war, where a local Kashmiri lad rammed into the main gate of the Badami Bagh cantonment. That was by design. In this case, sources are telling India Today, after initial assessment, this was not a suicide attack. The suspect, Dr. Muhammad Umar, triggered the explosion in panic. The bomb was prematurely pieced together. It wasn't a fully developed improvised explosive device, and fortunately, it limited the impact. The explosion did not create a crater. There were no shrapnel. Remember, IEDs, like we were discussing even yesterday on India First, an IED has ball bearings, it has nails, it has screws, because the moment it triggers an explosion with high velocity, with high intensity, these projectiles, it's almost like little bullets. These projectiles go and embed themselves in your body, your eyes, your brain, your head, your ear, your entire body, and they dismember your body, and a person can die if a projectile, if it's a screw, a nail, a ball bearing pierces your body. That is what an IED does, and I've covered many of these IED attacks in different parts of our country. This was not that. The vehicle was still in transit. It was moving when there was a sudden explosion. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Munish Pandey, who joins us with the latest. And Munish, you've been speaking to your sources in the intelligence agencies and the police. Bring us details of their initial assessment.
Well, Gaurav, few things are very clear. The person who is responsible for carrying out these attacks at Lal Killa, where I'm standing, he panicked, and in that panic situation, he carried out that blast. It is very clear from the initial finding by the intelligence agencies. And why he panicked? Because there was alertness, there was action carried out by multiple agencies, including Jammu and Kashmir Police, where they carried out, search and seizure operation in Faridabad. There were several of the key individuals who were detained or arrested by the Jammu and Kashmir Police. And it was very clear, because at 6:10 yesterday evening, Gaurav, there was a tweet also by the Jammu and Kashmir Police regarding Dr. Umar Muhammad, is that you can run but you can't hide. So it was very clear that he panicked, and in that panic situation, when he reached this particular spot where I'm standing, he decided to carry out the blast, a bomb which was not even fully developed, and this is why the impact was very limited. There was no crater, there was no shrapnel. As you rightly pointed out, Gaurav, we have covered several such blasts, and in which we have seen the impact is huge. But in this case, the impact was limited. Unfortunately, 9 individuals, 8 innocent individuals lost their life. Several others
Munish,
are
just
injured.
try and explain
but
this to me.
Even the agencies are saying that
this was not a planned offensive, but explain this to me. He entered Delhi, and we are looking at the timestamps of those images. He entered Delhi at 4 minutes past 8 in the morning. Early morning, 8 o'clock, from Faridabad through the Badarpur border, he enters Delhi, goes to that Okhla petrol pump at 8:20. Where was he between 8:20 and 19 minutes past 3 o'clock when he entered the Sunehri Masjid parking lot? What did he do for 3 hours between I think 19 minutes past 3 to 48 minutes past 6. Where was he during this 3-hour period?
Well, Gaurav, he left Faridabad yesterday morning, and later when he entered Delhi, he took several routes. The CCTV images have appeared before the agencies. They have seized those CCTV images, and they are trying to track the entire route. But it is very clear that he was not very sure where to go, where to carry out the blasts. It was not. It is very clear from the initial investigation. For 3 hours, Gaurav, he was in the parking lot. What he was doing, what he was thinking, that is still not clear. And moment after he left the parking lot around 6:20 in the evening, it took almost 20-25 minutes for him to reach from that particular parking to this particular spot, and around 6:52 he carried out the blast. It means that he was not very sure where to carry out the blast. There was no support to him. That is also very clear, because most of the key individuals were either arrested, detained, or they were pinned down. They were holed up. So there was no ground support to him. There was no one to carry out a recce for him so that he can choose a better place to carry out the blast. And in panic, he decided to, detonate the unprepared bomb, what the agencies are calling, at this particular spot.
So, also explain to me, before I bring in our guests once again into this conversation, what was the reason that Dr. Adil Muzammil and Omar Mohammed, we'll talk in just a moment, these two doctors from Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Shaheen Shaida, this lady doctor who apparently was setting up the Jaish-e-Mohammed's women wing in India, and her brother, Dr. Parvez Ansari. I mean, they were doing so well in life. They come from a good family. They had multiple homes. They were doing well, MBBS, MS. What made them become terrorists or suspected terrorists at this stage?
Well, Gaurav, it is very clear that these individuals were radicalized in a manner that they risked not only their lives, but they went against the country. They participated very actively, not only for a terror network, but also for carrying out terror activities. And as far as, Dr. Shaida is concerned, it is very clear that she not only provided ground support, not only provided logistical support, but she also provided her personal car to carry out the weapons, for example, AK-47 and other such things. She was also, arranging funds for it. That is what the sources are telling us. At the same time, Dr. Umar Muhammad, he was also linked to several other doctors in the same area, from the same university, from the same premises, and it appears that those individuals have also been questioned, because they are the one who at this point of time have key information. There are 6 individuals, Gaurav, those who have been questioned today, 3 by the Faridabad police, 3 by the Jammu and Kashmir police, and all because they were in touch with Dr. Omar Mohammed. And it is very clear, Gaurav, that this network is much bigger than what it is appearing today. There are several individuals who, in eyes of general public, they hold a very, sophisticated role, that they are doctor, they are doing very well in life, but at the same time, they were conspiring, they were working on behest of their masterminds, probably from across the border, and they were involved in terror activities. Gaurav.
So from what my sources in the government are telling me, there's a list that's been drawn out, those doctors who were in touch with Maulvi Irfan Ahmad. And this is where that list becomes very crucial. Over the years, how many people had he indoctrinated? Are these all young doctors, or are there sleeper cells? Remember, these are sleeper cells of terrorist organizations if they're carrying out a terror attack to bleed innocent Indians. And Dr. Zeenat Ali, the last 30 seconds I have on this part of the show, these elements who may have been indoctrinated, perhaps now are at crossroads. They can either walk back, join the mainstream, or perhaps, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi warned, they will not be spared. Strictest possible action as per law will be taken against them.
Absolutely, you have to take the action against them. But there's just one thing I'd like to point out. When we are talking about radicalization and the people who are radicalizing, You see, when I mentioned the imams, I just didn't mention them for any reason. You have
Yes.
to get hold of those people who are trying to radicalize and destroy the mind of the young people. It brings to mind this film that was made many years ago called Dil Se. You see, where this girl, becomes a
Yes.
suicide bomber to destroy something. And because she was brainwashed. Now, the whole point is that how do you radicalize? How do you radicalize young people? That's because you misquote, you misteach the teachings, and they use religion as a weapon. And
Oh,
it has to be
absolutely.
de-weaponized. You have to de-weaponize religion. And here I'm going on
And
to
perhaps
quote
that
you.
is where it comes from, within religion and within well-respected members of the community like yourself, who can do it and do it so effectively across the length and breadth of our country, the process of de-radicalization, because perhaps now it's time to choose. And I sincerely, sincerely believe, Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, many thanks for joining me on this part of India First. But as we end this show, it's time to choose, and Dil Se, I hope the choice is India First. We'll be tracking that story very, very closely as this massive nationwide crackdown on such elements begins, because they live amongst us. Are they plotting to kill us, from the doctor in Hyderabad to these doctors from Kashmir and Faridabad and those in Saharanpur and Lucknow? We'll be tracking the story very, very closely.